Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Gran Turismo 7. It's that time of the week once again when the weekly challenges go ahead and refresh. Now we're off the back of a fairly weaker week last week. However, it does seem that the rewards are much better this time around, and in terms of the overall length of this week, it's a relatively short one, so it's going to take a minimal amount of time whilst rewarding you much better than what we saw last week. So let's head over and have a look at an overview on what's on offer this week. As you can see, it is June week 3. This one will run up to the 20th of June 2024 at midnight, your local time, I believe. Now, in terms of the events on offer, the first race of this week is the European Sunday Cup 500 over at Deep Forest Raceway. We'll then move into a very exciting new special event. This is at Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya GP layout for the Alpine A110 2017 one make, a very much cup car race, which is fairly decent, and I really do like that car in terms of a cup car format. We'll then move over to Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta for the American FR Challenge 550, before heading over to Autodrome Lake Maggiore on the full course for the Ferrari Circuit Challenge. Now, I am pretty sure that one was here a few weeks ago, so that does seem a bit like a repetitive one. And then finally, we have the WTC 800 over at 24-hour Le Mans. That is a 5-lap race and can be quite easily won without taking a single pit stop. In terms of the rewards this week, we get 100,000 credits, 200,000 credits for 3 events, and for all 5 events, we get a 6-star roulette ticket, which is going to be a fairly decent reward overall, which is typically up to 1,000,000 credits or the likes of free cars and such. So let's head over to event number 1 this week. This is the European Sunday Cup 500 over at Deep Forest Raceway. Now, of course, upon completion of this one, we are going to be rewarded with 100,000 credits on top of the base standard reward as well for getting first, second or third place in this event. Now, in terms of this event, I am always going to keep them as close as possible to that PP limit, whether it's a recommendation or an overall rating that is set in stone, running on the hardest difficulty. Now, I went for a Carrera RS. In terms of the event itself, it is a relatively easy start to the week. However, as usual with a lot of these events, there is a few cars that you need to be keeping an eye out on, as on the hardest difficulty and close to that PP rating, they really can give you a bit of trouble. So for the majority of the grid, I managed to work my way through with relative ease. There really wasn't any issue until we got up to first and second place. Those seem to be the 2 cars that will give you a nice run for your money, mainly the Alpine A110 and the Mercedes Benz. Now, I'm pretty sure that Mercedes does have 4-wheel drive as well, so it's an absolute rocket off of the corners, so just be aware of that. Couple that with a fairly decent high top end and it will definitely give you a decent run. As you can see, our older Porsche here, even in the slipstream, was being outran, and in terms of the corners, it has very good grip as well. We end up getting a little bit of a bump going, but we do manage to get first place on the final corner on the final lap and take the win. Again, just managing to get the power down in terms of over the finish line. So in terms of the event itself, it's a relatively easy first place. I don't think too many people will have that much trouble. Again, just because we're running close to that PP limit, it is not set in stone, so you can really abuse that if you want to. 100,000 credits on top of the standard payout for this one. With that, we're going to move over to event number 2, and this is certainly my favorite of the entire week. This is a brand new special event that we've never seen before at Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya GP layout, featuring a one-make race for the Alpine A110 from 2017. Very much a cup car race. I really enjoyed this one. Again, it's one of those events where the harder you make it for yourself, the more fun you're going to have. It's going to be a 4-lap race, so we're not worrying about the likes of fuel and tyre wear. As you can see, it is completely off, as well as the likes of damage and shortcuts. And of course, all of the AI are going to be the Alpine A110. So just ensure you've got one of those. I obviously went for a cup car style layout. This livery has been on this car forever, so it really was quite a decent feeling to see this event appear, and I finally now have somewhere to use this car. Now, in terms of the AI themselves, like I mentioned, the harder you make it for yourself and the less upgrades you have on this car, mainly just focus on the likes of gearboxes and weight reduction, you'll probably find yourself having a decent amount of fun. A lot of the AI aren't running necessarily standard A110s, so just be aware of that. If you do go down down the route of trying to run it in a stock version, then you're probably going to have a very, very awful time. There is definitely a few slight upgrades on some of these cars, but it isn't anything absolutely ridiculous. They are very much cut-built cars, so just be mindful that they may give you a decent run for your money. The majority of them, though, will be overtaken with relative ease. I did find that there was a fair gap forming between the sort of mid-pack and the front of the pack, so again you might have to do a little bit of catching up as you go through the event, but overall I think you should get this one done with relative ease overall. Again, because we're not focusing on the likes of tyre wear or fuel usage, you can really absolutely hammer these cars around without any repercussions really, so just absolutely pedal to the metal and you should get this one done no problem at all. I do believe I may have upgraded this Alpine just a little bit too much. As you can see, we took the lead here on lap 2, so we're only really at the midway point and we're already moving up into the lead. But this is probably an event that I will definitely go back and try and tackle with a few less upgrades. This way I can get it much more competitive and much more to my liking. But in terms of the car itself, it's fantastic to drive. Absolutely throw it around. You'll probably find yourself having a ton of fun with this one. So first place, nice and easy. Tick number 2 of the week. And of course, with a lot of these special events, although they're shorter, they do pay out quite decent. Over 100,000 credits if you do manage to get that clean race bonus. A bit of contact did stop me getting that. Then we're going to move on to an even shorter event. This is at Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta. This is the American FR Challenge 550. This is again another sprint race. It's going to be 3 laps this time, of course aimed at FR layout vehicles, around 550 pp. This one is a bit of a returning favourite for a lot of people. In terms of, you know, the Gran Turismo creators, they seem to absolutely splash this one everywhere they can in every different form. So in terms of the event itself, it is the typical AI for these events, so a lot of classic American muscle cars mixed with some modern American muscle cars. There's only a couple of vehicles that I would say probably could give you a decent run for your money if you're aiming around that standard 550 pp limit. Again, it's a recommendation, it is not a set in stone limit. Mainly the ones that are going to give you a bit of a run for your money is going to be the Sierra. That one can be quite quick if it does kind of break away from those classic American muscle cars, and of course that Dodge Viper GTS, which we are basically matching here, will definitely give you a nice run for your money if you're in something with a little bit less power. It really does open itself up on the straights. There's also a couple of Mustangs scattered in, but I didn't find them really too much bother to deal with. It's just mainly that Sierra and mainly that Dodge Viper that definitely seem to have a bit of an edge on a track like this. As you can see though, we did manage to get that slipstream and move ourselves into first, just coming towards the latter stages of lap 2, and it was pretty much job done and dusted at that point, as we went on to take a fairly easy win by the time the end of the 3 laps were done, by about 7 seconds or such. So that is going to be tick number 3 of the week. Now of course this is going to reward us with our free tick prize, which is going to be 37,000 credits standard. We're also going to get our daily reward as well, which should tick over if you're just logging in at this point. That was a 4-star, and of course the third reward of the week for free events is going to be 200,000 credits. So let's move on to next what is a fairly repeating challenge. I'm pretty sure it was only a few weeks ago that this one was in the game. This is the Ferrari Circuit challenge over at Lake Maggiore full course. Now I am not a big fan of this event. I feel like it massively outstays its welcome. It just feels like it goes on for that little bit too long. Now I went for an Enzo Ferrari. In terms of the car itself, we do have a few weight reduction modifications, but it is fairly under that 700 pp limit. Now this one is set in stone, so you cannot go ahead and abuse it too much unless you have a Ferrari built for 700 pp that is very, very quick and easy to absolutely throw around. So if you do have a LeMans build for a Ferrari at 700 pp, you're pretty much quids in here. In terms of the event itself, the majority of the AI are very, very easy, but this being a day 1 event, it does suffer from that big issue that a lot of those day 1 events did, which is a massive spread between the AI. Again, because we've got a massive mix of old and new Ferraris as well, it really is a massively unbalanced overall event. It's just not that good really. It's a bit of a shame because it does get this kind of track day feel going for the majority of it, which I would have liked, expect, apart from the fact that P1 will be way ahead of anyone else. I mean, to a serious degree. So we go on to the start of lap 4 and we're moving our way into P2, and as you can see, P1 is almost 14 seconds up the road. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Now we do manage to take the win. We're coming into the final corner on the final lap, and we're going to manage to put the power down of the Enzo and just outrun the F8 here. As you can see, we're just going to sprint to the finish line. The finish line just coming up now, and we do manage to just take that win, getting our nose ahead. So that's going to be tick number 4 of the week. But overall, just an event that is a little bit on the boring side and suffers from those typical day one issues. Not too bad in terms of payout though. Even without the clean race bonus, it's 105,000 credits overall, and another 18 miles on this week's weekly challenges. And then finally we have the WTC 800 over at 24-hour Le Mans racing circuit, or of course LeMans. Now this again is a massive shame of an event. This is a day one Le Mans event, and I feel like it's the one that most people have probably forgotten about. There's a good reason for that as well, because it's a fairly terrible and boring event. Of course, with this being a day one, it does suffer from some very, I guess, typical issues of day one events. Now in terms of the cars, I do recommend just using something like the 787B that has very, very good fuel consumption and tyre use. This way you're actually not going to waste a ton of time going into the pits. In terms of the AI, they are very, very inconsistent. It's almost random when they'll pit, and they will start pitting from the end of the first lap. It's just absolutely bizarre how they seem to work here. They're just not really programmed right. Overall, you're probably going to take a very, very easy win here, no issues at all. In terms of the weather as well, we don't actually have to worry about that, whilst it does let you tick over to the weather radar, and of course we're at Le Mans, which is notorious for weather coming in. It doesn't seem to be enabled here no matter how many times you run it, so don't worry about the weather. Just put a nice fast set of dries on, so I went for the mediums, put it in fuel mix 6, and you should be good to run to the end. As you can see, at the end of lap 1, we managed to basically inherit the lead at this point, as the first place AI was the only car to pit in at this point. I just don't understand why. It had 59% of fuel left and hard tyres, but it still chose to pit. Even then, from lap 2 onwards, you'll see that the majority of the AI will once again just barrel themselves into the pits. It almost seems like every single lap that ticks by, the AI is just constantly pitting, to the point where it makes this event so easy and so boring overall. Unfortunately, this is a very, very weak event because of that. The AI just not very good here at all, and don't expect them to be even remotely competitive no matter what you do. In terms of the event though, a nice and easy first place to finish off this week, and that's going to give us a tick number 5 for this week. In terms of the payout, again relatively low, 161,000 credits for this one, and 42.3 miles added on. And of course the final reward of the week, a 6-star roulette ticket reward, probably the best ticket in the entire game apart from the free car one. So we're going to open up our daily marathon reward first. This is a 4-star daily roulette ticket, and of course we're not going to get a very decent prize overall on this one. 30,000 credits to be exact. A bit of a shame, but it kind of just is what it is. We're just going to go ahead and add those to the account. Then of course we're going to add the one event tick reward, which is 100,000 credits. Then for free it's 200,000 credits, and then of course finally we're going to open up our 6-star roulette ticket reward. Now this is pretty much guaranteed to give you a fairly fantastic reward no matter what. You've got up to 1 million credits, some of the best free cars in the game that you could wish for. Really, overall this is a decent reward, and it's, you know, very, very good to see this. Much better than that typical 5-star ticket reward that we've been getting sometimes. It does seem that they've kind of changed it for a 6-star now, which is definitely the way it should be if they want players to keep doing these weekly challenges. Massive thank you anyway to all of my channel members, and a massive thank you to you guys that are watching at home. If my voice does sound a little bit off, it's because I'm a little bit bunged up, so yeah, apologies for that one. Anyway, have a fantastic rest of your day. Take care guys, peace.